Greetings and blessings. In the name of the Most High, Jah, Rastafari, but them case unto them. So a little public spiritual announcement, public spiritual advice, and also some music news. If you've been following along with my journey, you'll see that I recently returned from Costa Rica after spending quite some time out there. And one of the main reasons I went out there was to release a song called Heaven Sent Lady. Now this song was created by Costa Rebel Studios, big up Costa, who's out of Costa Rica. And I had an idea and concept sometime last year where I said, yo, we need a reggae bachata with some Michael Jackson vibes in it. And he's like, I never did anything like that. I said, no, neither have I, so let's try it. Because I came across a wonderful brethren whose name is Enil from Dominican Republic, and I met him at my other brethren's cigar lounge named Findy. So blessings to Findy. And Caesar, big up yourself for bringing good musicians together, or great in my eyes. So it took quite some time for Neil and I to come together and create this music, because he's very busy releasing some wonderful music all over the world with some bigger artists than myself. Whatever the case, we finally got it done, and the song is blowing up in Canada, in Uganda, all over the place. People are loving this. That's just what I know from Apple Music at this point. There's many other little different spots, but it's really getting played a lot in Toronto. So blessings to Toronto. T.O. So I would like you to check out the song. It's a reggae chant vibe, it's the Trinidad chant, like Prophet Benjamin that I grew up with, Isasha and Marlon Asher and Levi Myers, and Carrie Kill, and Trinidadian reggae artists. We're very different to Jamaican reggae artists because we have our own style and flavor. Remember, we as Trinidadian have a different type of groove to everything. Jamaicans have a different reggae, which is again the ultimate vibes, because some of the Jamaicans out there are wonderful musicians, and one of my most biggest influences outside of all of the other music I love, Michael Jackson being one of the greatest musicians to ever live. Performers, musicians, everything. One can't really touch his talent and style. They all want to mimic it. It's like Bob Marley. Everyone wants to be Bob Marley. When you become yourself as an artist, you can now express yourself correctly. So, Heaven Sent Lady, check it out. That's the vibes there. But now I want to go into something else. The other night I'm sitting down, and this is your private spiritual advice. Know where you're coming from, where you know where you're going. And that doesn't just mean you personally, it means everything on this earth, what country you're in, where you're from. For instance, a little off topic, when I was in Costa Rica, I was curious to why do they call their money the colones? Come to find out that's Christopher Columbus' real last name. He's not Columbus, he's Colones, or Cologne. He's actually a Sephardic Jew. He's not a Catholic, not a Christian. Yet he utilized the money from the church, the king and queen, to come across to our islands and destroy all kind of things, because he ain't bring nothing good to us. Let me tell you that right now. He's a liar. Fire burn him to ash. Dirty. Go on, the Christabel Colon. Go look at this. Go look at his history. Anyway, so talking about history, I was curious about the rule of law, which is no one is above the law, and the Constitution and Declaration of Independence of this land, which is a wonderful document, which is necessary in this what it is. Well, we are a constitutional republic in the United States of America. We are not a democracy. So when you hear politicians like, "We gotta protect democracy," shut your mouth. The only reason you have democracy is because of the constitutional republic. Democracy is allowed to function within that republic. So the basis of this country is on the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence from Queen of England, the King, or whoever it was at that time. I really don't care about them fake royals, because they're not real royals. They don't come from royalty. The Windsors and them is not even a real family name that they carry. So let's go back to England, where the Magna Carta was created. Now, there was King Richard and King John, the brothers. King Richard was in the Crusades. He probably spent about 6 months in England the entire time of his ruling. And he bankrupted the country because he was in the Holy Land and fighting the Crusades and trying to take over France. And I think it was Henry at the time in France and blah, 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 whoever it was. And I'm not a fan of a lot of the French history. But anyway, let's stick with King Richard. He didn't make it back. I think he died from a shot and an arrow on the battlefield. Brave soldier. But his brother King John and the sheriff that they had out there. Let's go back to Robin Hood. These are real figures of history which have become legendary. You know, they say Robin Hood is just a myth, but no, he was a real man. And of course, he's become legend over time. Because King John and King Richard are real men. Everything else in the stories are 100% correct and real. And Robin Hood is loyal to King Richard. Now, when you come to find out who wrote the Magna Carta, you will see that it is stamped by the seal of King John, who took power as King Richard was gone and was trying to rule the nation. He's not a very good ruler. He wasn't capable of doing much. But do you know that he didn't write the Magna Carta? Do you know who actually wrote the Magna Carta? Well, it was a cardinal. A cardinal sent by the Roman Catholic Church, Pope Innocent III. The Catholic Church wrote the Magna Carta to take away the sovereignty of the king of the land, so he is no longer above the law. And that is where we get the Constitution and the rule of law, that no one is above the law. The rule of law is no one is above the law. Not even the king. That's why America is all about no kings, no kings. But without the king, you wouldn't have no Constitution, because you wouldn't have no Declaration of Independence, because you wouldn't have the Magna Carta signed and sealed by King John, who didn't write it. The Catholic Church wrote it. So when you start to find out what is the history of the Catholic Church and the Medicis and all of them, the Borgias and all of these corrupt Italians, dirty, stink families, you start to see how nasty things really are behind closed doors. But now it gets deeper, because you have to ask yourself, well, hold on, if Rome never burned, it only changed its name twice. God is your calling. Yeah, check the lyrics of one of my songs there. Let's say America, I think we're at 43 presidents. I can't remember if Trump is 43rd or 44th. But let's go with this. Let's say 43 presidents. 42 out of 43 presidents are descendants of King John. The only president that I know of history is not a descendant of King John. I think it's Van Buren or Van Armen or whatever his Dutch name was. Germanic descent. Just as Trump is Germanic. But Trump's mom is Irish, I think. So she's going to have that bloodline tie. Biden, Obama, Clinton, Bush, all of them are family members and descendants of King John. They want to talk about democracy, take this democracy and shove it up your backside, because you're a pack of lion vultures and hyenas. Because when the lion come and show you the truth now, what you go do? Jokers, man. Everybody want to feel is so scholarly with their degrees, but they don't take time to study the reality of truth, because it wasn't taught to them. It's not in their textbooks. And who owns and runs the textbooks? Well, the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds. Remember, their families have old money on this earth. But let me tell you something, money ain't bigger than Jah. No man can serve two masters. And one of those masters in the Bible is called, start with a M, Mammon. Mammon is money. Mammon is, doesn't this sound like a beast? Money can be a beast if it's not utilized correctly as a tool. If it is not put beneath and below you, if you put it above you, you're not working for the Most High, you're working for money. You're working for Mammon. You're working for Jah. See, we work for Jah. And they say we, I and Jah work for Jah. I and I work for Jah. We, all are we. All are we. Is we people, is we thing. Family, right? So, The more you know, the more you educate yourself, the more you can come to some truths to say who really been lying to you for all these years, and why have they been lying, and what is the purpose of their lies. Of course, it's control and deceit. And who is the greatest deceiver on earth? Well, the one that tricked the world to believe that he doesn't exist, the devil himself. So fire burn him to ash, because that's where he belongs. Though he has his purpose, only a fool will worship such a low vibration entity and call him a god. It's a fallen angel. He ain't no god. There's only one. And remember, the word God is Germanic from 6th century, Gudan, Gudanese, Gudan. Go learn your history, go learn your etymology. Then come chat, right? So in that, bless up yourself, go check out the music. Maybe you should go and check out all my lyrics of all my songs and see what's going on here. Same here, Rastafari teach me through music and lyric and word power sound. It took years for me to comprehend what certain men were singing about and say, what? Did you give me the whole game plan here, how Babylon work? Well, let me go and crumble it. And now it's crumbling. So now we, as good people, have to rebuild this earth correctly. Otherwise, the demons will crawl back out of hell and come and take what they want. Because you give it to them. Because you don't fight, you don't stand up, you do not say, no, this is mine. You don't get this. They have their piece of the pie, they have their piece of the cake, but they want all of it because they're greedy and selfish. It's only when you say, listen here, you don't have authority over any of us, because the rule of law of this country says so. Look what England has just done. You see, when Islam will come now with their perversion of their own religion, be mindful. Anyone that says that you're allowed to lie to go and fool somebody, you're a deceitful individual or a deceitful religion. Dul Shubakatain. You know, at the end of the day, Islam still has to wait on the second Isa. Isa is Christ. Jesus, Yeshua. Islam still has to wait on the second coming of Christ for them to defeat their Dajjal, and their Dajjal is the Antichrist. But then they go on out, oh yeah, we'll be the world's one religion. No, you won't. I grew up in a Muslim country. I don't live the Muslim way. Even though there are some good things. I don't follow that path. Because I'm not going to follow a man named Muhammad who married a child. I'm not going to follow it. You're wrong from the root, and that's on you. Even though the book might have some nice things, it's still a copy and mimic of the original two books. So don't come and tell me, oh, it's a third part of the series and trilogy 500 years after Christ. Man, sit down. You cannot call God the Father. You cannot call Allah the Father. You're not allowed to. But in every other religion that says Christ, He is the Father. Right? So therefore, big up the Son, but worship the Father. And the Father is the Most High. Jah. Rastafari every time, because Rastafari show us who Christ is. Right? Bless you, God.